Millionaires for the month, a first chapter Friday read aloud with the word nerd, an author interview with Stacy McAnulty. Hi, my name is Amanda Zieba. Welcome to my channel, Learning with the Word Nerd, and another First Chapter Friday video. This week I'm going to be reading to you from Millionaires for the Month by Stacy McAnulty. But before I tell you about this story, I have a little backstory for you that I think will make this even more fun. Earlier this summer, my sons were both at summer camp for a whole week, and so I said to my husband, let's go somewhere, let's do something fun, and we decided to go to North Carolina. While we were there, we went ziplining, we toured the largest home in America called the Biltmore Mansion. We did all sorts of fun things, but one of the things that I like to do as a word nerd when I'm being touristy is to visit bookstores. So while we were in town, we were in Asheville, we went to Malaprop's bookstore. And first I walked in, I just kind of looked at the new fiction table and wandered around the adult stuff, but inevitably I ended up in the children's section because I have to find something fabulous to read and share with you guys. And of all the books on the shelf, I picked out this one. Maybe it was because of the bright yellow cover, I'm not really sure, but when I read the blurb, which I'm going to read to you here in a minute, I was hooked. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to read this story. So I read it the entire plane ride home, and then once our plane landed, we still have a 3-hour drive home from Minneapolis to where we live in Wisconsin, and then I read like the entire way home from there. I felt a little guilty about ignoring my husband, but we just spent a week together without kids, so he had enough of me. It was fine that I was just reading. But I get to the end of the book, love the whole stinking thing, and I know when I really love a book because I want to read like the back matter and the acknowledgments and the note from the author. And when I'm reading the about the author note, you guys, guess where Stacy is from? She's from North Carolina. Of all the books in the entire store that I could have picked, and of all the states that she could have been from, I happened to be in a bookstore in the state where she was from, and it just felt like fate. And what made this even better is that when I reached out to her via Instagram and said, hey, will you come do an author interview on my channel? She said yes. So after I read to you the first 2 chapters of Millionaires for a month, we're going to get a chance to talk with Stacy a little bit about states, a little bit about writing, a lot about this book, and it's going to be great. So make sure you stay tuned all the way through the end to hear what she has to say. But first, let's get to, or I guess not first, second. Let's get into this now. Millionaires for the month. Here's what the blurb says. $5,386,709.12. 30 days. Spend every penny. Easy, right? Did you know that a penny doubled every day for 30 days is $5,368,709.12? Felix and Benji do. They borrowed $20 from a lost wallet that belongs to tech billionaire Laura Friendly, but there's no way she'd notice. After all, 20 bucks is like a penny to a billionaire, right? Turns out Laura Friendly did notice, and she gives them a challenge. Spend $5,386,709.12 in 30 days in order to win $10 million each to spend however they want. Challenge accepted. Sure, there are lots of rules, but between renting cool cars and going to Disney World and buying pizza for the whole school, it's going to be the best month ever. But money can't buy everything or fix every problem, and spending money can cost a lot more than just cash. So let's dig in, read the first 2 chapters, and then we'll talk with Stacy. And I just know you guys are going to devour this book. One of the kind of fun things is every chapter has a $sign, so chapter 1, and then they've got the date and some cool little fun graphics throughout the story. Chapter 1 is from the perspective of Felix Rannells. The 7th grade teachers of Sterling Middle School did not put any thought into the important task of assigning field trip partners. The poor decision-making had tethered Felix Rannells to Benji Porter for the entire day. When Felix received his assignment at 6 a.m., he considered faking an illness. Something tough to prove, like a toothache. But his mom had already driven off, and the field trip was to the American Museum of Natural History in New York City, a place he'd always wanted to go. So instead, Felix climbed the bus steps and took the inside seat next to Benji. Felix tried to pass the 2 hours by reading, while Benji tried to entertain everyone by offering to do stupid tricks for money. For $1, I'll eat the gum from the bottom of your seat. For $0.25, you can draw on my back with the Sharpie. For $10, I'll moon that tractor trailer. Benji wasn't making much. He earned $1 off Aiden Rosman and a whole lot of ews from everyone else. Ideally, Felix should have been paired with someone who respected rules, like a teacher, or better yet, no partner at all. He liked to be alone, or maybe he was just used to it. Was there really any difference? Benji and Felix knew each other, of course. They were in Mrs. Chenoweth's homeroom, and they both played basketball, Felix a point guard and Benji a center. Benji's nickname on the court was Barney, not that Felix would ever call him that, because he was the biggest guy out there and he was always smiling. Benji had wavy brown hair, braces, and zits, and would probably grow a mustache before they were out of middle school. And like the purple dinosaur, Benji was kind of awkward. Hey, buddy, Benji turned to Felix. I'll give you $1 if you call Mrs. Chenoweth Mommy for the rest of the day. Felix shook his head, regretting again not pretending to be sick when he had the chance. Now, it was too late. The bus pulled up in front of the museum, and the students were reminded to stay with their partners at all times. This resulted in Felix spending the morning as an unwilling participant in a 3-hour game of hide-and-seek where he was always the seeker. Benji accidentally joined another school's group. He went into the bathroom without permission. He even set off an alarm when he decided to duck behind a woolly mammoth. And approximately every 30 seconds, Ms. Chenoweth warned Benji, and by association Felix, to behave. By lunch, Felix needed air and a break. Mrs. Chenoweth seemed to read his mind, allowing them all to eat across the street in Central Park. The Central Park, as seen in the movies. A chaperone handed out the bagged lunches everyone had pre-packed. Felix's contained a peanut butter sandwich and saltine crackers. His mom wouldn't be going to the grocery store again until the end of the month, so they were out of chips and granola bars. He unwrapped the sandwich and ate the larger half in a matter of seconds. But Benji didn't have a bagged lunch in the cooler. I forgot it on the counter, he said. Felix offered him his crackers. Nah, I'm buying a pretzel. Benji pulled a wrinkled dollar from his jeans and headed toward the food court. You're not supposed to, Felix thought. The permission slip had clearly stated that students were forbidden to make any purchases. Felix glanced back at Miss Chenoweth, who was chatting with the math teacher and not watching Benji's lunch rebellion. Felix sighed and once again followed his partner. How much for a pretzel? Benji asked. $2. The pretzel man pointed to a sign. I'll give you one. It's all I got. Well, then you ain't got enough for a pretzel. The man turned his back like he had another customer, which he didn't. I guess I'll starve, Benji said. Felix popped the last bite of sandwich into his mouth and was going to toss the plastic wrap when something caught his eye just a foot from the trash can. A red wallet with interlocking gold C's. 2 other kids walked right by it. For a second, he thought about leaving it and letting it be someone else's responsibility, but he picked it up. The leather was soft and smooth and somehow felt important. He glanced around the park. No one appeared to be searching for it. What's that? Benji came up behind him. Someone's wallet. Felix handed it to Benji. If he'd thought about it for even 2 seconds, he'd have realized this was a mistake. Benji immediately unzipped it and pulled out a $20 bill. Score! Now we have lunch money. Felix flinched. I'm witnessing a robbery, he thought. Chapter 2, still Tuesday, October 26th, Benji Porter. Until this point, Felix had not been Benji's ideal field trip partner. He barely talked, and he followed every rule. And he seemed to be against having any fun. But finding the wallet made up for all of that. Plus, now they weren't going to starve. Benji's stomach growled as if on cue. Put it back, Felix pointed at the 20. We're just borrowing a few bucks. I'll return it, Benji dug around the wallet. I'll mail the money to... He froze, staring at the driver's license in his hand. Whoa. Benji held the ID from an inch from Felix's face. Laura Marie Friendly. Do you know who that is? Felix squinted at the driver's license. She's a freaking billionaire, Benji shouted. Laura Friendly was the founder of Friendly Connect, a social media company that parents and grandparents loved. This lady is so loaded she's building her own rocket ship to Mars, and once she challenged a family to communicate using only Friendly Messenger for a week, and then she paid them $1 million. That can't be true, Felix said. Whatever, it's our lucky day. Pretzels on me. No hot dogs on me. Benji smiled and shoved the wallet into the pocket of his sweatshirt. Actually, on Laura Friendly. He walked to the back of the cart. The pretzel man, who was also a hot dog man, glared at him until Benji held up to 20. 2 hot dogs, 2 sodas, and 2 bags of chips, Benji ordered. Anything else? The hot dog pretzel man asked. Stop. We shouldn't. It's stealing. Felix came up behind Benji. The kid made a great tale, like FBI-level surveillance great. The man folded his arms and raised his eyebrows. It's borrowing, not stealing, Benji said through gritted teeth. I'll pay it back. And I'm starving. A boy's got to eat. Well, the guy asked, growing impatient. Benji sighed. Make it 1 hot dog, 1 bag of chips, and 1 soda. The man began filling the order while Felix stared at the ground like there were secret codes written on the sidewalk. I know you want a hot dog, Benji whispered. Felix gave him the slightest nod and Benji clapped him on the back. We're changing our order again, 2 of each, and throw in some ice cream bars. The price came to $18 and Benji handed over the bill and said, for the first time in his life, keep the change. They found a spot on the grass for their picnic, close enough to the rest of the class not to be considered missing, but far enough away that Miss Chenoweth couldn't see their upgraded lunch. Felix didn't talk as they ate. He scarfed on his food like he was hiding evidence. I bet Laura Friendly gives us a huge reward, Benji said as he opened his ice cream bar. Like $1 million. We need to pay her back and return the wallet. Felix chewed on his thumbnail. He was a skinny kid with red hair, freckles, and a big forehead. He always looked kind of nervous, but he appeared even shakier than usual. She doesn't need our money. Benji leaned back on the grassy hill. I'm going to take the wallet home, have my parents call her, maybe invite her. No, we need to hand it back in now. Felix's face was the color of the wallet. We will give it back, but we don't have to do it right away. We will give it back, but we have to do it the right way to make sure we get a reward. Felix jumped to his feet, and for the first time Benji was forced to be the tail. They dumped their trash, even though Benji still had a few bites of ice cream left. Felix practically ran to their teacher. Miss Chenoweth, we found a wallet. It belongs to Laura Friendly. Benji groaned. No use denying it. Of the 2 of them, everyone would call Felix the smart and trustworthy one. If it was Benji's word against Felix's, Benji wouldn't stand a chance. Excuse me? Miss Chenoweth said. Yep, Benji took out the red wallet. Her address is in here. Felix and I can take an Uber or a taxi to her place. We'll be back in an hour. You won't even miss us. Hand it over, Miss Chenoweth said, not even considering Benji's suggestion. As she looked through the wallet, her mouth dropped open. Let's give it to him. Felix motioned to a police officer waving kids off the sidewalk and into the park. Miss Chenoweth agreed it was the best option, though Benji still thought his taxi idea was better. She escorted the boys to the cop who wasn't interested in the wallet until the mention of Laura Friendly's name. I'll make sure this gets returned, he said. You need to tell her we found it. Benji Porter and Felix Rannells, partners. Benji threw an arm around Felix's shoulder, pulling him closer. Sure thing. He's not going to remember. He's not going to tell her, Benji complained to Miss Chenoweth. Oh, here, Miss Chenoweth sighed. She jotted a message on a piece of paper and slipped it into the wallet. Found by Felix Rannells and Benji Porter, students in Julie Chenoweth's class at Sterling Middle School in Sterling, New York. You promise not to take this paper out? Benji asked. Yeah, kid. Benji had no choice but to believe him and to dream about the inevitable reward. All right, you guys are totally going to want to find out what happens next to Felix and Benji and how Ms. Friendly works into all this and, of course, the $5 million. So pick up a copy from your school library, local indie bookstore, or grab it via the link in the description box. But right now, let's head over and talk to the author, Stacy McAnulty. All right, readers, we are here with the author of Millionaires for the month, Stacy McAnulty. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, we're going to dive into the 5 questions right away. And the first one is, can you tell us what was the story spark or seedling for this story?
Great. So the idea behind this book came from a silly conversation with my family. We were going out to dinner, and we live in a small town, so we had to drive to the bigger city down the road, and we took the highway, and on the way we passed signs for Mega Millions and Powerball, which are lottery jackpots, and both of them were worth about $500 million. So if you hit both of them, you'd be a billionaire. And as you know, we get to dinner and we just start talking. What would it be like to have that kind of money? How would we spend that kind of money? How would our lives change? And I realized my kids just really like talking about those kind of things, using your imagination and kind of daydreaming about those moments that would be life changing. Probably never going to happen, but still life changing.
Super fun. My husband and I play that game too when we drive by billboards and think about all the different things we would buy. I agree. A great topic for a novel. One of the things that I love the most about this story are your two main characters of Felix and Benji. They just felt so real. They were in some ways like opposites of each other, but they worked so well together. And I got to know them so well throughout the course of your story. So I'm wondering if you can tell readers a little bit about your character creation process while you're writing. Like, how do you get to know these characters, and then bring that across on the page?
Right. So, thank you for that compliment. This novel, was the first time I had written with two perspectives. So there was that challenge there for writing from both of these boys, but I felt it was important because I did make them kind of opposite. So Benji comes from, he's an only child. He comes from a family with means. Like, he is never really worried about money. If he wants new sneakers, he gets new sneakers. He has his own bedroom. They live in a house. Felix is being raised by a single mom. I was raised by a single mom, and is just very aware of money. And that's kind of how I was raised. Like, I knew which days were payday, which meant that maybe we would get McDonald's on that day. And we're just more thought about things like sales and buying things in bargain or bargain bins and such. So I wanted to look at money, like coming into all of this money from that perspective, from a kid that's never really had to worry about the needs and could just focus on the wants, and then a kid that had to that has known more about the needs and maybe has had less wants fulfilled.
Yeah, two different perspectives and very interesting, and it brought multiple layers to the story, which was really great. And I think that a kid in either situation can learn something new by reading from the different perspectives. This is a super good segue into my next question, which is money. And it's kind of a taboo topic in our society. Like, people say it's not polite to talk about money, or it's too personal. And yet, like, money seems to run our entire society. So what were you hoping that readers would take away from seeing discussions about money and like reading about it? And did the fact that money's kind of a taboo topic in our society, like, did you think about that at all while you were writing?
Oh, absolutely. And you're right. We do think of it as taboo. We probably often tell kids, like, if they ask, like, how much do you make, or how much do you spend, or how much did that car cost? How much did your house cost? We say, you don't ask that. That's not polite. And there is a point to that, because it can make people uncomfortable. But I think we've gone too far in that direction. And students, kids, they need to know about finance and money, because they are going to be facing these things in the near future. They're going to have to be making decisions, and of course, right now in the news, a lot about college bills and paying for that. And those are decisions that are not that many years off. So I think we owe it to the generation of kids reading middle grade and young adult books to start talking more about money, letting them know a little bit more about the decisions, about budgeting, about different costs, and how it all affects your whole life.
Yeah, and this book is a really great starting point for that. Like, it's a really good entry point. So parents, if you wanted to read this book too, and talk about it with your kids, you'd probably have lots of great dinner time conversations like Stacy and her kids. When I was digging around on your website to learn more about you and figure out what kind of questions I wanted to ask you for the interview, I saw that you have tons of great extras. I know there's a lot of great back matter material in this book as well. I just want to give you a little opportunity to tell people about that and all the cool things you've got for readers.
Yeah, I try to put some extras on my website. I'm not always great about doing it for every book, but we did get some stuff together for Millionaires. Like my kids love to hear things about like music playlists that authors may have for books, and just some different background stuff. So I think it's just little extras out there if you are allowed to go on the internet, if you have your adults permission, because not the entire internet's safe. So when we have adults permission, it's great to go check out writers' websites and look for those extra things that are out there. Sometimes it's behind the scenes, sometimes it's cut scenes, sometimes it's the music playlist, sometimes it's the research behind these things as well. So it could be super fun to check those out.
Yeah, I saw in yours you have a playlist put together. So were those songs that either inspired the story or you listen to while you write the story?
I can't listen to music while writing because then I'll start writing the lyrics. But there are songs that with my kids that we thought this book kind of meshed with. So it was done after the fact.
Yes. Everyone knows me as the word nerd, right? But I loved in the back that you had some really great math add-ons, talking about like, this is if you were going to do, a 10% raise, or if, this is a penny doubled every day. And there's just some really thoughtful, additions back here. And as a reader, like math doesn't often like kind of cross over together. And so I just thought that it was a really great way to do that and show it, because there aren't many books where math is such a big, important part of a fictional novel. So if you are not a word nerd like me and maybe Stacy, then you could enjoy the math aspects of this book as well. I know that you have some other books that maybe touch more on the math or sciencey part. So maybe you're like all the kinds of nerds, Stacy.
Yes, I do. My background is mechanical engineering, so I'm very comfortable with math, and I try to make it accessible to our readers. But I do like to throw those extras in the back so we can kind of see it play out, show some of those equations, show some of those the numbers doubling and interest and things like that. Because I think when we see it in front of us, it's even more amazing than just hearing about it.
Yeah, and exciting to see, like, to think about how it can grow and like our own money. So okay, this last question is complete confession, has nothing to do with books or word nerd or even this story, but when I was reading your bio, it said that you're a Packers fan, and that if you could be like any other job, like being the coach for the Packers might be on there. And as a Wisconsin girl, I was like, how as a North Carolinian did you get to be a Packers fan? My kids are massive NFL fans. They don't like the Packers, but we still love them. But how did you become a Packers fan?
I have a Packers cup right here.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I was. It's like, how much do I say? So I became a Packers fan in high school, and this story is kind of illegal. So I was not a huge football fan in high school. I knew about it, but family always had it on television. But my mom gambled on football. So every week there was something called a pick'em, and she would bring it home from work, and for $1 you'd circle the winner of each game. So if it was like Buffalo versus Giants, you pick one of them, going all the way down, Kansas City versus St. Louis, or whatever the teams were, and you just picked one all the way down. And she always let my brother do it. And my younger brother, she would pay his dollar and do his pick'ems. And I was jealous for whatever reason. And I'm like, I want to do a pick'em. She's like, you don't know anything about football. And I was like, yes, I do. My mom's like, well, who's your favorite team? So I just looked at the sheet and I'm like, the Green Bay Packers. So at that moment, the Packers became my team. And just because I love to be right, I did start following them. This was the time of Brett Favre had just come into the league. And I was a big Sterling Sharp fan and all this. So I did start watching them, and I did become a true fan. And I've gone to games in Green Bay when I was in college, and when I lived in Buffalo, so when they want to come over to Buffalo, now when they come to North Carolina. So I am truly a fan now, but it was like a pick out of the hat.
Yeah.
At that moment.
That is hilarious, and
And don't
I
gamble.
love it.
I'm not saying gambling is right, but that's just
No. We just did
what my family was doing at the time. Wait, I don't know, 30 years ago.
Yeah. That's we just did our fantasy draft, and on Sundays we go to church, we grocery shop, and we watch football all day, and it's amazing. So I can relate to all of that. My youngest son, got his team picked because my older son had a jammies with all the logos on them, and we're like, well, who's Riley gonna cheer for? And he like points on his pajamas to a certain logo, and we're like, the Bears? He's like, yeah, the Bears. So all good.
It's not
so
the
football,
Cowboys, it's all good.
right. Right. Well, we hope whoever your team of choice is, that they have a great season. We hope you love this book. Thank you so much for joining us for another First Chapter Friday. Thank you, Stacy, for answering our questions. One last thing before we go. Can you tell us a little bit, you kind of alluded to it earlier, what are you working on right now, or what can we expect next from you, and where can readers connect with you?
So like today, what I was working on is another nonfiction, and it's tentatively titled Where Are the Aliens? So it's our search for extraterrestrials in, beyond our solar system, mostly exoplanets, things like that. So I'm wrapping that up. It'll come out in fall of 2023. So that's pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to that. And novel wise, the next one's going to be called Forever 12, and that's about a girl who gets involved with some kids that are really like 300 years old, but they appear forever 12, and that also will come out next fall. To find out more about me or to connect with me, again with adult permission, you just have to spell my name right. StacyMcAnulty.com is my website. On Twitter is @StacyMcAnulty. On Instagram is @StacyMcAnulty. On TikTok, I don't do much TikTok, is @StacyMcAnulty. So if you spell my name right, you can find me on most social platforms.
Awesome. Well, I'll help everybody out and link those below in the description box. But thank you so much for being here, and happy reading, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
To continue reading Millionaires for the month, pick up a copy from your school library, purchase one from a local indie bookstore, or grab it via the link in the description box. Then be sure to check out the rest of the First Chapter Friday videos and author interviews I have for you on my channel. Thanks so much for joining me on my channel, Learning with the Word Nerd. I hope you'll come back again for more First Chapter Friday videos, brain breaks, and other great content. You can find me online at these places, which I've linked below. See you again next time, and happy reading!